Hello and welcome to yet another session related to prelim examination. In this session, we are going to discuss about various types of techniques which can be used to solve multiple choice questions. Now, many of the techniques you are maybe already aware of. You may have been doing a lot of practice through tests also, applying your own techniques and all. So it's just a matter that you just expose yourselves to experiences of different people, right? You may have seen also some more videos related to these techniques, or maybe your teachers may have discussed certain techniques with you. Here are a few of them. Maybe if they can help you out, or there may be something extra over here, or maybe the way they are applied with certain examples of questions, and see that many of these questions would be very simple, right? And maybe you may also be knowing the answers of many of these questions, but what we will try to do is that we will not take into account or apply our knowledge to answer these questions. We will keep that separate. We are just trying to look at that when you do not have the information or knowledge, when you don't know the answer, then what could be the method of approaching or zeroing down or maybe eliminating and marking the right answers. So let us start with the first technique which I have here for you people is the elimination technique, where we are focusing upon the options which are given in the answer, wherein we are looking at those options in the answer which may be disconnected to the statement or the given question. So we will eliminate on that basis of, say, in this question, as you can clearly see that it is about uncontrolled discretionary power. Now you obviously, it's a very easy question, you know the answer, that is related to rule of law, that is article 14. But suppose you don't know the answer, then and you know what is there in article 28 is related to religious freedom, and 44 is a DPSP uniform civil code. So at least two of them can easily be ruled out, and rest of them, out of those two, you can mark one of those answers. But in this case it is pretty clear that what the answer is. Second one is elimination technique. So first one is disconnected, right? That means B option and D option are disconnected to the question, so you rule out that. So similarly, with respect to many questions, you can do this. Then we have another one is options going against the statement or the idea of the statement, right? I have got four options over here. Like for example, the question on liberty in a liberal democracy. Now we have four options. Now out of these four, two of them are definitely going absolutely against the idea of liberty or liberal democracy, like centralization of power and a committed judiciary. Two of them are definitely going against, so you usually rule out those. Out of those two, you can mark the answer. Obviously the correct answer would be D, separation of power in this case. And that also, on the basis of logic, you can understand why it will be separation of power, is because elected government, once elected, will be there for 5 years, and for 5 years you cannot ensure liberty. But separation of power is given in the constitution, will consistently, perpetually, always it will be maintaining certain liberty and certain safeguard for the citizen. So answer will be D in this case. The third technique would be elimination of seemingly extreme statements, or maybe you can say eliminating logically less probable ones. Let us see through the question. With reference to India's desert national park, which of the following statements are correct? Now it is spread over two districts. Now you understand that national park are big area, right? Sometimes it spans across the district. So if it may be possible that it may include a little portion of two districts. So that is very much probable. So first statement may be correct. There is no, second one, there is no human habitation inside the park. No human habitation is like an extreme statement. It is like less probable. When you put that in the category of like national parks and zones are such areas which will not be that restrictive, in the sense that there will be no human habitation altogether, right? So in that case, the second statement, it seems less logically probable. So it's an extreme statement. The third one, it is one of the natural habitats of great Indian bustard. If you know it, well and good, but it may be correct, right? Because great Indian bustard is actually found in those areas. So the answer for this, I mean, even if you have any confusion, either you will mark C or you will mark, I mean, C is a definite answer, or you can think of, like, if you are confused, you can even mark like, wow. No, I don't think, because the moment you have the second option there, which is there in A, B and D, so that won't be correct. So in case if you are considering second to be correct, then answer will be C or D. But obviously, because second statement may not be correct, the answer will be C. Then another technique is or related to terminology. Now this is something interesting, is where terminology may be, or not just terminology here, maybe some keywords which are given there in the question. Now these keywords are such which may be related to certain regions, certain people, certain types of popular terms which is used in different cultures, right? Certain names. So relating that you can easily reach out. For example, in this question, this is a kucha man. Man, the word you see it's ending in man. Where do you get this? The words or the names which are ending in man. Mostly you will come across that in Rajasthan. Then Sargol, then Khatu. Khatu, you see there is a pilgrimage center also in Rajasthan. There's a Khatu Shyamji. So from these, you can easily infer that these locations may be there in Rajasthan. Glacier, mangrove areas are not possible there. It could either be Ramsar site or saline lakes. Saline lakes makes more sense because it is more specific to Rajasthan. So answer should be D in this case. So without knowing the answer also you can easily approach. Now another example of this question, you see these terms which have been used here related to the cultural history of India. Parivrajak. Parivrajak, it's similar. I mean, I don't know if you have come across this. It may be familiar and it looks like it's a renunciant or a wanderer. It's a term related to that. Shaman word comes from shram, that is those who are working. Now priest with the high status. Now usually priests do conduct some shram, but the second statement it is a little less likely to be possible. The third one, upasak, is definitely closer in meaning to follower. So from that itself you can understand that the answer is more likely to be B in this case, even if it is not for sure shot, but somehow the answer may be B. So you can go for that choice. Another example, with reference to the history of India, consider following pairs. Famous place, present state. Now Bhilsa, Bhil tribe, where? Madhya Pradesh. You can relate the word Bhil, Bhilsa, and Giri Nagar, Gir forest in Gujarat, relate with that. So 1 and 3 seems to be likely to be correct. Out of the given options, only A could be correct. So answer should be A. So maybe even if you don't know directly, you can easily approach and get the answer. Then another category of how to resolve is to focus on the key word or terms which are given in the question. Now here we are not relating to the culture or language or any other thing. We are just getting into the meaning, right? Question and their meaning. So let us look at this term which is there in the question, social capital. Now what can be social? Now it's very easy and most of the people know what social capital is. But in case if you don't know, then focus on the word social itself. What will relate better to social? Social is something which is related to like you being more social, means you are outgoing, you are meeting more people, you are establishing your network. So it has to do with someone, with other people also. So out of the given option, the best one would be D, the level of mutual trust and harmony in society, because it is interrelational and that is what social word means specifically. So through those meanings also many a times you can answer the questions. Second one here is in India, the term public key infrastructure. Look at the term public key infrastructure. Key is related to security. Out of the given option, it would be either A or B. Now food security infrastructure is something for which we need not to develop that public key. The word key is less likely, but yes, for digital security infrastructure it is more likely, because as far as the physical security is concerned, in the physical security of the systems or system security is concerned, the word key may be more applicable to this one. So answer is more likely to be A in this case. Then what is blue carbon? You already know what blue carbon is, but in case get into the meaning of the term blue, what blue could easily relate to out of this, it is more likely to be related to A, right? B is definitely not, because the blue color will not be related. It may be to some extent petroleum and natural gas. Why would be blue? It could be black, it could be gray, but why blue? In atmosphere to certain layers maybe you can use the word blue, but for oceans, coastal ecosystems, definitely we can use the color blue. So obviously the answer is more likely to be A if you are not sure. Another one is in the context of digital technologies for entertainment, consider. Now here also, if you just look at the two words and their meaning, augmented and virtual. Augmented means that you are in addition to something, right? And virtual is something which is totally out of the real. So if you see that the second and first option actually are interchanged through meaning itself, you can, though most of us know what is virtual reality and what is augmented reality, you can easily answer the question. I'm just telling you that just by looking into the meaning of the word, how you can approach, and the answer will be B in this case, because first and second statement are reversed. Then some questions we can apply our common sense or logic. Look at the statement here. right to the city. Now first and second statement, if you go through, they would seem to be correct, right? The third statement, which is not correct. Now what is the basis of it being incorrect? You can easily reach through by applying your common sense or some logic. Right to the city means that, I'm just reading out the third statement here, right to the city means that the state cannot deny any public service or facility to the unauthorized colonies in the city. Now, right to the city, the state cannot deny something to the unauthorized colony. I mean, state will not have much to do with the unauthorized colonies. I mean, it cannot be the right of the unauthorized colonies, isn't it? I mean, state definitely providing something for, why would state provide for the unauthorized colony? This is something seems to be illogical, right? Non-commonsensical. So, statement 3 may not be correct. Answer will be C in this case. Another one is common carbon metric. Metric supported by what it denotes? The word metric is of course used in measurement, right? Measurement is more related to assessment. So answer would be either A or D in this case. Either of the two could be answered. So maybe if you know it that it is related to building operations, fine. But if you don't know, then you have to take a chance, and you should definitely take a chance. When you are able to reduce to two options, then the probability of getting a positive mark out of that would be more. So when you reduce up to two options, you should always mark it. So answer will be either A or D by applying your common sense. Now moving on to another technique, logic, application of logic, and along with that we are reaching on to that logic by application of some indirect or extra or general knowledge. That means we may not be having the complete information related to the question, but we know something else about the probable options or the keyword in the question, that we can use that along with the logic to reach to the answer. Now in this case, service area approach. Now maybe you do not know about this term service area approach with respect to these schemes, but you know something about the scheme. For example, I mean, if you have read about lead bank scheme, we know that in every district there is a lead bank, right? So every district means district is an area, so it's likely to be the service area approach. Whereas the rest of the program, like whether it is integrated rural development program or the MG Narega or skill development, in this nothing has been talked as a service area approach, or maybe a particular geographical or territorial entity. It hasn't been given as much of importance. There may be officers at different levels, of course, but it has not been talked about categorically. If you have read about the schemes and you have some knowledge, you can apply that to reach to the answer that it should be B. Service area approach will be related to lead bank scheme. Another one is who among the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscripts to the album and individual? Of course, it is related to art and painting. And when you know that for the fact that which emperor was more interested in all these, and it was Jahangir, so obviously the answer would be C in this case. So you see how you are just applying a little bit of logic along with the fact which you may be knowing. Now I'm just using, see, this question may seem to be very simple and you already know the answer to these questions, but I'm just using these questions to demonstrate the technique. Maybe sometimes this technique would be of higher utility when it comes to more difficult and complicated questions, but at least you keep the technique in your mind. So please go through the technique once again. Maybe you can stop the videos and note down all the techniques. Some of them I am very sure you had been using also, and some of them you just need to be more conscious or aware about. And add to the ones which you already know. Another question, see, global competitiveness report is published by competitiveness report. Now who is going to be publishing the competitiveness report? What is this value of competition? Is it not related to liberalization? Will IMF be interested? Now IMF and World Bank are those institutions which have been flourishing right from late 1940s. Now, and they have been talking about their area of concern is very broad, right? Though sometimes we may relate to some of these institutions that they do promote the liberal values, but specifically it is the World Economic Forum which is seen as one platform which is a pro-globalization, which is a representation of pro-globalization movement. And competition as an idea is definitely related to liberalization and globalization. So answer is, then even B could be answered, but B is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It is going to promote or make it easy for nations to cooperate. So it is less likely that it will publish this competitiveness report. And UNCTAD had also been flourishing right from the very beginning, and global competitiveness report is more likely to be presented in the liberalized era. So answer should be C for this. Yes, you see, having extra knowledge, you're applying some logic here to reach on to the answer. It would be C, without knowing the answer actually. Another technique would be look into the statements and how genuine the statement looks. Sometimes the statements given in the question may seem to be artificially created. Now, that you may guess this by the way the sentence has been arranged, the way the phrases have been used, maybe sometimes even the usage of prepositions or grammar, the way it is such that you can discern from there that this looks more like an artificially created statement. Now, in this case, if you read all the three statements, I'm not reading it out, you can read it by yourself also or focus on to this question. Statement number 1 and 2, they are very likely to be possible. Okay, so it doesn't seem to be artificially created as such. Statement number 2 also, the project of CCAFS is carried out under consultative group on international agriculture research headquartered in France. The only thing that can be there in the second statement is they may give you a a wrong place as headquarter. So there is the only doubt. Otherwise, there won't be a doubt as far as the genuineness of the statement is concerned. In fact, that factual information, if you do not know, you cannot figure it out, then again you can at least answer either 1 or 3 or 1, 2 and 3. At least you will reduce it to 2 options. But statement number 1 and 3 are more likely to be correct because of their genuineness. So on that basis, but of course there is a little risk involved. See, in most of the techniques which I am discussing with you, the risk is there's lesser risk. In this one, there's a little more risk. And this is one more thing I want to emphasize, that many a times you may come across, or a lot of people will tell you to many other techniques which can be there, which you apply in general to get to the answers, but many a times I found that those are very risky techniques also. So please use those techniques which are less risky. So this particular one is a little risky, so I'm just reminding you that there can be inherent contradictions in the question statements. Look for this also. Like for example, in the first one, now this is an easy question again and you would know that, but just to demonstrate that how the inherent contradiction it arises. On one hand, you are talking about judicial custody, right? On the other hand, you are saying that putting up in the police station. Now obviously you are putting someone in the judicial custody so as to reduce the arbitrariness of the police. So he's not under the police control. So there's a definite contradiction. Judicial custody. Why will you be locking up in the police station and not in jail? This is a definitely statement 1 is wrong in this case because of inherent contradiction in the statement of the question. Another question which shows the inherent contradiction here. A prisoner makes a sufficient case. Parole cannot be out denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his or a right. I mean, given granting of parole, I mean, it's something which this person is being provided some relief from the side of the authority, and now you are saying it is his right. Now there's an inherent contradiction again between parole and the right of the person. It can't be a right. So the statement 1 again seems to be incorrect because of inherent contradiction. And these are some of the techniques which you can just write down, follow it up. Many of them maybe you already know, just a little awareness, and we will be coming up with one more video as part of this series wherein we will be talking about like what you should be focusing upon now in the last leg of your preparation, what areas, though you may have got a little idea from the other video which we have had on trends of questions. So these are some of the techniques which you can use to answer questions. You can add these techniques to your kitty of techniques. Wish you all the best, and please subscribe to the channel and watch other videos which are related to strategy or prelims. Thank you so much.